Here's a new update to the members of the Seven and what we currently know about them as of Chapter 3 Season 2. Let's talk about the leader of the Seven, the Foundation. He made his first appearance in Chapter 2 Season 6. Well, of course that is not completely true. The first time we see the Foundation will be Chapter 1 end event, but I'm talking about the first time we physically see him. This is when Jonesy went against everything he knew about the Imagined Order and went to grab the attention of the Seven, and more specifically, the Foundation.
Start. I'm going to the Seven.
After Jonesy made his way through a battle royale, he then made it to the 0 point, he threw his Rift Beacon device in there, and soon after that the Foundation arrived on the Fortnite island. The Foundation then made his way towards Jones and started to fight him, before stopping after Jonesy uttered the words,
Joe!
I can get you to Geno.
And the sisters?
I can get you all of them. But I need your help to fix that.
Now, I don't know if the Foundation had a suit upgrade after this, but why he didn't do what he did to Gunner, to Jonesy, I have no idea. He agreed to help, but what he did wasn't enough. He had to seal himself in the 0 point to give the 0 point time to heal. He was successful doing this, and then before or after the last reality destroyed the Spire, the Foundation went to reality NF1935, where he helped Batman close a rift over Metropolis, where the Imagined Order was in cahoots with Lex Luthor and the Batman Who Laughs. The Foundation had to return to Reality Zero in order to close the Sideways Rift. A Sideways Rift must be closed from both ends. This was achieved by the Batman and the Foundation in their own respective realities. But the Batman Who Laughs actually made it through to Reality Zero. They fought for an epic victory royale. The Batman Who Laughs actually had the upper hand at one point, cracking the Foundation's visor. Now this is actually really important because that means his suit isn't airtight anymore and he could be affected by the loop the moment it resets. Unless he won, which he did. So yes, the final person in the final zone wins the game, they escape the loop. So obviously he won't be affected by a loop, he won't be looped, he won't forget his memories, and he won't be muted. And that is of course good for the Seven and good for the Foundation, who then decided to go and find Jonesy. Then we catch up at the Chapter 2 end event. Obviously the Foundation ripped the door open and saved Jonesy from the clutches of the Imagined Order and Dr. Sloan. And obviously we see Gunner here as well. The Foundation uttered the words,
I got over it.
Kind of tells me that the Foundation and Dr. Sloan have some sort of prior relationship. I don't know what it is, but that's what I'm getting from it. Foundation's second objective was to break, change, or disrupt the gyro system in order to flip the island to the other side. He was obviously successful. He then chatted to the Loopers at the start of Chapter 3, outlining his goals in setting the 0 point free and destroying the Imagined Order and breaking Ask the Loopers outside the loop. He spent the majority of Season 1 patrolling the Sanctuary. He then was seen during the Resistance fighting a much improved Gunner. His relationship with some members of the Seven appear to be fractured. He thinks Paradigm is going to betray them, and his relationship with the Imagine looks no better. The Paradigm seems to be a really decisive character within the Seven, with the Foundation and Origin not really trusting Paradigm, and the Imagined and the Scientists especially wanting Paradigm to come back. At least the Scientist sees Paradigm as the only hope for the Seven. So let's talk about Paradigm. The majority of last season's storyline revolved around the Scientists trying to tempt Paradigm back after some members of the Seven lost trust in Paradigm. According to the Scientists, she is public enemy number 1 of the Seven, even though they were literally on the brink of war with the Imagined Order. We're not quite sure what she's done, but there is a lot of speculation in the community that Paradigm is also Singularity, and it could have something to do with the final showdown event. Donald Mossad added to the speculation by saying that Singularity is only one of her many names, so could Paradigm be one of them? Paradigm is, according to the Scientists as well, the Seven's pilot, and that she brought them together. So talking about Paradigm, we have mentioned the Scientists, so let's move on to the Scientists played by Joe McHale of Community and also Stargirl. We first see the Scientist in Season X, when his comet did not hit Dusty Depot, unlike the Visitor. The Visitor used the Villains Layer to create his rocket, when the Scientist used Dusty Depot. If you don't remember, the Scientist actually used broken bits of Brutes to make his rocket, because at one point the Brutes had a virus. While this was going on, the Scientist was building Rift Beacons to travel into other realities to claim Visitor tapes. Now, even though they're called the Visitor tapes, these were all done by the Scientists. During the start of Season X, the Scientist wasn't even the Scientist. he was actually called the Visitor Vulture and was part of the Visitor's set. So yeah, at this point the Seven wasn't even a thing. Of course, the scientist eventually launched his rocket and opened a rift to allow the other members of the Seven to come through. So the first plan during the end event was to reanimate the frozen in time comet, which they were successful in doing. And why was it frozen in time? Well, let me refer to the Visitor tapes. I asked you arrived outside the loop at the moment of expansion. This is when the 0 point sort of started to explode. This effectively paused the singularity. So when you see Jonesy going through this purple sort of vortex, this is I asked you arrived outside the loop at the moment of expansion, the moment of an explosion. According to the scientists, this effectively paused the singularity, so that's why the singularity or the 0 point was frozen throughout Season X. So this gave them enough time to synchronize the junctions, which were the rift beacons, in order to pull off their plan. They then sent the comet into the 0 point, which reorganized all the matter of the island and created the 2 new maps we see today. During the attack from the last reality and the Cube Queen, the scientist was joined by the Visitor in trying to get the loopers into the bridge. At this point, the Foundation had already enacted Phase 1 to break the gyro system in order to flip the island. Phase 2 was trying to get the loopers to the 0 point, or to the bridge where they would be safe when the island flips over. We then emerge in Chapter 3. In Chapter 3, the scientist employs the help of loopers to gather intel about what the Imagined Order are doing, and obviously the scientist talks to us about Paradigm. His quest relates to him trying to bring Paradigm home. He then talks about some of the Seven's relationship with Paradigm, where it doesn't look so good. For example, future voice lines indicating that the Foundation believes that the Paradigm will betray them again. As I said previously in the video, the Foundation and Origin seems to be on the side that they don't trust Paradigm, when the Imagined and the Scientists seem to be on the side when they want to bring home Paradigm. As I said, the Visitor is on the fence, it seems like. The Scientist is also seen in the Resistance going through a portal with Doctor Strange. The Visitor, the first member of the Seven to arrive on the Fortnite Island in Chapter 1 Season 4. He built his rocket at the villain's lair with the help of the unnamed investigation agency, who could be the Imagined Order. The Visitor then left through a sideways rift but left it open, giving an opportunity to the last reality to embed themselves on the island. The Visitor is not seen again until Season X, along with all the other members of the Seven. It's then 8 more seasons until we see the Visitor again during the Chapter 2 end event, where he joins the scientists in trying to get the loopers to the bridge, but for whatever reason he leaves early. Throughout Season 1 remains a very silent type, so if you go up to the Visitor as the Paradigm, he will tell you, "You have got people really bent out of shape down here, you know that." Which he seems to be the only member of the Seven who's not really going with either side and is trying to keep on the fence about it. Also, I've just realised he says down here. Interesting, I don't know. So we move on to one of the new members, the Origin. And there's a lot of information already about the Origin, even more than Paradigm, even though we've known Paradigm. For 10 seasons we've known Paradigm, and we already know more about the Origin and the Imagined. So in videos and streams I've talked a lot about the Origin and how I feel the Origin could be a member of the last reality. It seems like I was right about that, but he's not just a member of the last reality, he is actually the Cube King. And if you listen to the Origin's anthem, similar to the Cube Queen had an anthem too, which gave us great amounts of lore. This one does too. In the song, he's talking to himself in the third person. See him right now, a member of the Seven, but it hasn't been easy. Let me tell you his progression. King of the Cubes, he had all the power. He didn't realise the cubes devour. So he's currently a member of the Seven, but he used to be the Cube King. Also, the Origin is played by Rahul Kohli, who was an iZombie. So the next bit, he didn't realise the cubes devour. He walked away, so he left the last reality, but it was no use. The IO had him cornered, so he suffered abuse, and they had him locked down, my crown. They put him under pressure, but he said I ain't down. Thousands of worlds fall, but this is the last. He's doing all he can to make it part of his past. Oh, he's coming for you. See how it ends. The order's going down. He got Peely and friends. So it seems like the Imagined Order captured him. Now, I'm not sure if I can put a time on when I think the Origin got captured in terms of the Fortnite storyline, but a good place to start would be when Kevin arrived on the island. There's a part where he goes, thousands of worlds all fall, but this is the last. So a great time for Origin to defend this island would have been when the last reality made their first attempt to take over the island, when Kevin arrived, making this island the last reality's last attempt to try and take over an island, and Origin is here to make sure they fail. So around here, he could have got captured. But the next part to this is very interesting. My man was cornered there and there was no way out, so we found another angle, one they wouldn't doubt. He tricked the IO, they said he sold out, but he was just plotting while looking about. He burned them fast, then he made his escape, found his own way, and his plans took shape. The 7 found him and extended a hand, and now all the loopers follow his command. So, from that, at this part, he's still captured by the imagined order. And he goes and there's no way out. So we found another angle, one they wouldn't doubt. He tricked the IO, they said he sold out, but he was just plotting while looking about. And the only way I can take this, that the Origin joined the imagined order to basically play them from the inside. But his emote is quite interesting and he does talk or at least rap about himself in the third person. And guys, in an upcoming voice line, the scientist says to Paradigm, "Are you still working for the blue guy?" But Origin just says something to Paradigm too, "I have nothing more to say to you." So it would appear that the Origin has been affiliated with all the major fractions in Fortnite, the Last Reality, the Imagined Order, and the 7. But just quickly about his emote, when he's Origin and he changes back to the Last Reality version of himself, it's very easy, but when he changes from the Last Reality to the 7, it's very difficult. It's almost like the 7's trying to push out of him and the Last Reality just shifts back to him very easy. So I don't know if that's something to look into. It is called Unchained, the emote, so maybe it is something to look into. His babbling no does say nothing can contain it, so maybe the Last Reality version of himself has a mind of its own. But in his tune, it does say, "A member of the 7, it hasn't been easy." Maybe this emote is just trying to sort of symbolize his development from a member of the Last Reality to a member of the 7 and how difficult it's been. And maybe not the fact he's got some sort of Jekyll and Hyde sort of personality. Now let's talk about the Imagined. Her past is key to our future, one of the 7. She was first introduced to us in Chapter 2, Season 6, when the Foundation said to Jones, "What about the sisters?" And what about the sisters? So from that, it was sort of insinuated that the sisters were sort of associated with Geno, and what we know from the comic book The Foundation, that the 0 point is currently in the hands of Geno, and since the Imagined Order has controlled that 0 point for thousands of years, most people would presume that he is the leader of the Imagined Order, so what would the sisters be doing with him? But obviously Jones has said recently that he's still working on Geno, but maybe he's already worked on the sisters and have gotten them back somehow, and maybe. But if Agent John Jones did get the Imagined back, maybe it wasn't his best idea.
Annoying, but we can program your device to detect them with the right data chips. Destroy, repurpose some 7 computer equipment. We'll harvest the chips from there.
So maybe the Imagine's true intentions may be unclear, but there might be a reason for this. In some upcoming voice lines when she's talking to the Foundation, the Imagine says, "I'm going to uncover my past with or without your help." So it would appear that she may have forgotten something, and it seems like the Foundation, for whatever reason, is unwilling to help. Maybe it's got something to do with what Jonesy was about to go through at the end of Chapter 2. While the scene maybe insinuated that something else was about to happen, it didn't really make sense. The Foundation proves in this scenario that he was able to sort of eliminate them as they were playing in the Battle Royale, so they would respawn after the loot resets the next 22 minutes. Unless this machine is a sort of go around so you avoid that issue. What seems to get me a little bit confused about that is the 0 point comic seems to suggest that the loop doesn't exist when they're in the base. Or maybe the loop exists everywhere in Reality Zero if you still haven't won the game. But that's a bit up in the air at the moment. But what I'm saying is maybe this machine would have wiped Jonesy's memory so the Imagined Order can just put him back into Reality Zero, and if he ever leaves the loop, they won't run the risk of having him escape with his secrets intact. So it may be something similar with the Imagined. Now we go on to the last sister. Now I believe the sister will be called the Order, because the Imagined in some other languages is translated as if they were about to be called the Imagined Order, rather than the word they should have used for Imagined. They use one half of the word of Imagined, and it hasn't translated properly what I'm hearing or saying. I might be getting that wrong, but they should be using other words and not the word they've used. So it is slightly suggesting they've called her the Imagined because she's named after the imagined order. Guys, if you did like this video, smash a like. It would really help me out in the old YouTube algorithm if you could hit that like button and subscribe to YouTube channel. It's been your boy Mr. JLY. Until next time, bye bye.